Well, first off, I'd like to send out my condolences to the families, the bereaved, to the first responders who, uh, through the hard work of a lot of activists, were able to get the treatment that they needed for having acted against their self-interest in trying to help the people um, after it happened. The conspiracy theories about how the building fell and these architecture engineers is that, well, the thing is, you can't reconstruct every rubble, remodel it, and then use that model to say, okay, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And since the plane blew up, there might have been more terrorists in there with explosives. We don't know. But the main fact is that it happened, and America won't kill its own people at home. That is the rubbish. I just want just remove it. It's yeah, it's basically a mother eating her young while she's still in the womb, where she's supposed to be safe. And having said that, um, I think I have a few questions to ponder. Um, this might not be the right time for them, uh, but basically, there's been this sense of war after war after war after war after war in order to do ABC until America's first constitution, and things changed, and wars became more about being a dominant force as opposed to colonizing, completely taken over. So we've transitioned away from that into having allies with other nations. But as much as that is known, one can't help but wonder, why is it, right? Why is it people are not brought in? I was against Guantanamo. They got terrorists, but their interrogation methods were brutal, and sometimes it was innocent people. So the psychological evaluations are failing. When you want to protect a nation, you have to look at the social structure that stretches back all the way to slavery. See how it changed, why it had to change, where were the pressure points, and how the tipping point came to be. That's always how I sort of reason when I think about these things. Um, but today we have Africa, which is one of the most misunderstood nations on the planet. For one, Africa is not a country. Secondly, Africa didn't only suffer slavery, it suffered from colonialism. For example, when the British king decided that he would allow people to die from hunger while he had food reserves. That was psychological warfare, of course. When you're outnumbered, you use other tactics. But they're getting on their feet. But Africa remains divided. And it's because Africa is built on self-interest that lacks a proper foreign policy. You see, foreign policy requires compromise. Everybody knows that. It's basics. But when you have people that won't compromise because they have a history of having done this or having done that, what do? Progress stagnates. And when progress stagnates, the young ones coming up from the bottom have to carry the burden of that weight and try to somehow get things working better once again. And it's a crying shame. I mean, people talk about all the how resource rich Africa is, but no one really speaks about how diverse it is. I mean, most Africans perceived by the world are black, sure, but most of them speak different languages. Their traditions are very, very different. Um, Cultural habits are different, right? So these are the compromises that need to be respected. But then there has to be a foot put down, right, which says this is where this ends. And that is how you empower the people of whichever nation you're dealing with. You have to negotiate. And negotiation skills aren't just about talking, trust me. They are not just about talking. They are about talking facts, planning. And planning is something that Africa lacks. How can you outsource the plans as well as the contractors? How will they know what your country needs? Because as a developing nation, that shouldn't be our main concern at all. Borrow, 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 build. Because Africa has been through a lot, and we don't have the numbers to make up for that generational, multi-generational, uh, horrendous acts uh, that were afflicted onto our beloved continent. And I say continent because the narrative seems to stay the same and people keep understanding why, and I bet someone has already said what I'm saying right now. But the one thing that Africa has that stands out above most, the West and the East and so forth, the one thing that Africa has that stands out is that Africa has the potential but not the will.